Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of What's Driving Token Prices. I'm your host, Katie Talati, Director of Research at Arca. For those joining us for the first time, I'm responsible for identifying and analyzing digital asset and blockchain opportunities for Arca's funds. As part of our research, my team and I examine token prices and the market events that act as catalysts for price change. Based on our research and market events over the past week, here are some notable token price movements and what we think drove these moves. As a reminder, this commentary is not intended to be investment advice, investment research, or an investment recommendation. Please consult your investment professional for your own circumstances. All right. Hello, everybody. I am calling in from Consensus this week in Austin. Feel free to hit me up if you are also in town and want to meet up at some point this week. So while all eyes have been kind of on the Bitcoin and Ethereum market the last few weeks, we tried to pull out some projects or tokens that were doing some interesting things on the side here. So first up, we have ENS, or Ethereum Name Service. So Ethereum Name Service is a project that allows users to buy domain names that end in .eth and basically use them as their Ethereum address. Kind of think of it as like an email address for your public key. So Ethereum Name Service announced that they're going to allow users to buy the .eth domains by partnering with MoonPay, so people can essentially they can buy their domain names using fiat instead of having to buy crypto, send it to their wallet, then go to the ENS exchange and purchase that ENS. For those who aren't familiar with Ethereum Name Service, the domain names that you purchase are actually purchased as an NFT asset that gets added to your wallet, and you are able to use it once it is then kind of attributed to your address. So this is, it's not live yet, this integration, but it should be super helpful for kind of like expanding ENS in the future and hopefully onboarding non-crypto users. To give you all context on how ENS has done so far, their treasury has earned just under 900 million to date through sales of the .eth domain names. With this news, ENS is down still 6.8% for the week. All right, next up we have Coinbase. So Coinbase has been making a lot of waves the last week. They've been in the news quite a bit, so I'll go over kind of everything that went on with them. So first, they actually announced that with kind of some of the continuing regulation in the U.S., their current path, they're going to be exploring potentially another jurisdiction to move to if the U.S. continues to have like a really unfriendly regulatory environment. They also announced late last week is that that they could launch their offshore derivatives exchange as soon as this week. So for some context, they announced a while ago that they were going to be pursuing an offshore derivatives exchange. A lot of people in the market tend to agree that that is kind of an area that's underserved, especially kind of following FTX's demise. The derivatives tend to add a lot more liquidity to the market. So they announced that they're going to potentially be launching the exchange super soon. The Bermuda Monetary Authority actually granted them the regulatory license that they were waiting on. And so it's up to Coinbase to see how fast they can ship that product. Finally, Coinbase launched a countersuit against the SEC, requesting a federal judge force the SEC to publicly share if it would allow the crypto industry to be regulated using the existing SEC framework. So for some context, in about July of last year, Coinbase petitioned the SEC and basically said, hey, like we need you to give us some regulatory clarity on these rules if the SEC's regulations apply to digital assets. And a lot of people at the time thought that the SEC would just cave and say, yes, we're going to give you, basically trying to force the SEC's hand. The biggest issue at the moment has just been like everybody in crypto has lived in a regulatory gray area, and it's made it really hard to do business because you don't necessarily know if you are doing the right thing by the regulators or the wrong thing. And so the Coinbase suit that they just lodged, kind of in retaliation potentially to the Wells notice that they were served a couple of weeks ago by the SEC, but basically trying to force them to give an answer to the unanswered question from about a year ago. So this has been a very, touchy subject for a lot of people, all the enforcement action and the regulation. Coinbase, though, is definitely showing some market weakness. It's down 5.7% for the week. All right. So this was one I think I've talked about before, but SHIB, which is the meme coin similar to Dogecoin, announced further details and an ETA for its upcoming layer 2 blockchain that is appears pretty similar to Polygon's layer 2 solution. So the product is currently in testnet, and the lead developer has noted that the mainnet is about 2 to 4 months out and will have a focus on metaverse-related applications. Even with this, SHIB is down 4.9% for the week. All right, last up we have Binance Coin. I know 2 exchanges in 1 week. So Binance Chain actually released a new product this week. It's called Wrapped Beacon ETH, or WBETH, as the latest liquid staking derivative. I know, right? We always want another one. The token is a wrapped version of the existing ETH staking token that they introduced called BETH. And it's designed so basically users can take it off the Binance exchange and use it within DeFi, is like kind of what they loosely said. It appears that it's going to be supported on Ethereum and Binance Chain. And users will just be using the wrapping function to kind of take it off of the Binance exchange. Meanwhile, just for context, Binance is currently the 3rd largest staker behind Lido and Coinbase, with over 1 million ETH staked, which accounts for only actually 2.6% of the market share. Coinbase and Lido are definitely like the larger stakers in that space. So Binance is up just under 4% for the week, with the liquid staking derivative market heating up. All right, that's all I got for you guys this week. Thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed our insights. Tune in here again next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific to hear what's driving token prices.